So now we have to discuss about the elasticity of demand, right? First we understand the meaning of this term, elasticity. It means response, right? And response between what? Response between price and demand. Okay, we have already studied the law of demand, that if price of the commodity will rise, the demand for that commodity will fall. Okay, but by how much degree, or what change in price can lead to how much change in demand? Okay, that is known as elasticity, right? For example, if I take salt, say price of salt in the present scenario is say 15 per kg, and in a month the family needs 3 kg salt, right? But now the price of salt comes to say 18 per kg. But do you think that the family can reduce the quantity? No. Okay, it needs the same quantity of salt. Similarly, if the price falls to say 12, right? Then do you think that the family will increase the demand of salt? No, it cannot use it anywhere. You cannot put 2 spoons instead of 1 spoon of salt, right? So we can see here this it is not responding. Whether the price is 15 or 18 or 12, the change in demand remains, the demand remains the same. Demand does not increase. So it means that response is 0. Or you can say that the elasticity of demand is 0 in case of salt. Price may change, but the demand is not changing. So this is the basic meaning of elasticity, right? So when you define elasticity, while in some goods you will see that demand can increase or decrease. Like in case of the model of a pen, right? If the price increases, you may buy some other model of the pen, right? When you define it, you can define it as elasticity is the degree of responsiveness of demand to a given change in price, right? Say if I say that if the price of the commodity changes by 10% or say rises by 10% and its demand falls by 20%, so it means simply I am saying that the elasticity of demand is 2. It is noted by ED, and the formula is elasticity is equal to percentage change in demand upon percentage change in price. Okay, and you have to remember that it is a pure ratio. Means it doesn't have any unit. Right, because percentage and percentage, when you do them, when you divide them, then they get cancelled, right? So no unit, pure ratio. And why I am converting them into percentage? Because ratio can be done calculated only when the units are same. Otherwise, price will be in rupees and the quantity will be in units, right? Okay, now before moving on to further discussion about the elasticity, we should first try and understand that how would it be decided, or what factors will decide that whether the demand for a commodity is elastic or inelastic, right? So first we talk about the factors affecting the elasticity of demand, right? First factor, simple to understand, availability of close substitute. Right? Suppose the substitute of the commodity is available, then the demand is elastic, called as elastic. If the substitute is unavailable, then the demand is inelastic. Now we can understand them. Simply says that, suppose you talk about tea and coffee. if one price of one commodity rises, what you can do? You can buy the other commodity, right? You can respond to the change in the price. While if the price of one commodity falls, like suppose the price of coffee falls, then you can purchase coffee instead of tea, right? So you can change your demands. If the substitute is unavailable, like salt, you do not have any substitute, cannot put anything else besides the salt. So in that case, the demand is said to be inelastic, or you can say cannot respond. Means cannot increase or decrease with the increase or decrease in the price, right? When you are explaining them, you can make it like this, sort of flow chart, and then line you can write, explanation you can write about any one aspect, right? Available or not available. Then second is the nature of the commodity. You can divide it as necessity, and a comfort or a luxury. Okay, the demand for the necessities is generally inelastic. Necessity refer to the basic need, food, clothing and shelter. Well, demand for the comforts or the luxuries is elastic. You can wait for some time if they are becoming expensive, right? Like for again, you can take the example. The food for food grain it will be inelastic, but for a mobile phone it can be elastic. Then the third factor is the price level. That means to which price level does the commodity belong? You can again categorize it into two segments: low price level and high price level. Talk about a matchbox. Say 1 rupee per unit, right? And say talk about a laptop. Say 30,000 per unit. So if the price of the matchbox rises, suppose it will, and say you are using 10 units in a month, even if the price rises becomes 1.25, you're not affected. Okay, consumer's budget is not affected because the price range of the commodity is very low. But here if the price rises to 35,000, then the consumer's budget is affected. Okay, he may, if you are carrying only 30,000 rupees with you at that point of time, you may not be able to buy that particular variant. You may have to buy some other variant, right? So here, for the high price commodities, the demand is elastic, because change in the prices of these commodities affect the consumer's budget. It's a bigger amount of income, bigger amount of money, right? But here, for the low priced commodities, the demand is generally inelastic because changes in the price of these commodities do not affect the consumer's budget, or right, consumer's income. Actually, the explanation of the next 2 points is also based on this logic only, whether it affects the consumer's pocket or not, right? So you have to understand it. Okay, then next is income level of the buyer. Again, you can divide the buyer into two groups: high level income group or high income group. Then you have the low or the middle income group. If the person is belonging to a high income group, okay, maybe say income is very high, 7 lakh per month, then small changes in price will not affect him, right? But if a person is belonging to the low or middle income group, say 10,000 per month, then the changes in the price क्या बजा रहा? Okay, so if the person is belonging to a high income group, the demand is inelastic because small changes in price do not affect his budget. While for the low or the middle income group, the demand is elastic because small changes in price can affect their budget, right? Then the next is the proportion of total income spent on the commodity. The proportion of income spent on the commodity, what does it mean? Like suppose your income is 100 and you are spending say 10 rupees on commodity X. So it means you are spending 10% of your income on the commodity. So it means that you are spending 10% of your income on the commodity. This is the meaning of the proportion of total income spent on a commodity. Now suppose you are spending a high proportion of your income on a commodity and another commodity on which you are spending less proportion or lower proportion of your income, right? Like for example on the food, and say like for example on the matchbox. Same example you can take. Maybe 10 rupees in a month, very small part of my income, right? And maybe here 2000 or 4000 per month, so a larger part of the income. So in this case the demand is elastic, because the changes in the price of these commodities will affect the consumer. He is spending a higher part of his income on these commodities, while here it is inelastic, because the consumer is spending very less part of his income on these commodities, right? So the previous 2 points and this point, they all are based on the consumer's income, or you can say how the consumer's budget is affected by the changes in of these particular variables. Okay, then next is future expectations. Future expectations time period. If it's a long time period, you have long time, then the demand is elastic. You can search for the substitutes of the commodity. While if it is a short period of time, then the demand is relatively inelastic, right? You have to buy the same commodity. Like for example, when you are going to give your board exam, suppose only 10 minutes are left and you do not find the pen which you want, so you may buy some other pen only, right? Short period of time. But if it is a long time, maybe exam is tomorrow, so you can search for the commodity, right? Then next is the urgency of need. Or postponement. If it is urgently required, or you can say it cannot, the demand can't be postponed. Or when it is not urgently required, or you can say when the demand can be postponed. Postponed means some later point of time you can fulfill that demand. In case the demand is urgent, for example, say a life-saving drug at the time of heart attack, cardiac arrest, that is urgent, cannot postpone. Demand is inelastic. But if the demand can be postponed, say like for a car, like for a mobile phone, then the demand is elastic. You can wait for some time if the prices are high. So these are the factors affecting the elasticity of demand. You might get the question based from any one of the factors. Next, habits. हैबिट्स लिखे हुए हैं ना 7 कितने बता दिए
6 हो गए
6 हो गए ठीक है यार ठीक है रोकी थी अभी तुमने रोकी
सर प्राइस लेवल और इसमें डिफरेंस
how the number of uses of a commodity affect the elasticity. Again we can take 2 simple examples, say electricity and say petrol. Electricity you are using at home, say for lighting, say for entertainment, say for washing. Petrol you are using only to run your car or your any other vehicle, right? Now suppose the price of this electricity falls. What you can do? You can increase the number of uses, right? I can use it for cooking even. I can use it for cooling even. For ironing my clothes. Okay, so it means the demand has increased. So if the commodity has many uses, its demand is said to be elastic, right? Because if the price of the commodity falls, consumer will increase the number of uses, and in case the price rises, he can cut down the uses, he can decrease the uses. But now look at petrol. Suppose the price of petrol falls, but I'll buy the same amount of petrol. It is not that I'll start going from a longer route, right? Consume the same units of petrol, same amount of petrol. Similarly, in case the price rises, then also I am helpless, right? I have to buy the same units of same quantity of the petrol, right? So if the commodity is single use, the demand is inelastic. Okay, so this is this particular part is very important. The question is often asked from any of these determinants of elasticity, right? So whenever you have to explain, you use these keywords. This should always be, for this point, these are the keywords. When it would be elastic, when it would be inelastic, that you have to mention, right? Now after discussing about the factors of elasticity, we move on to the degrees of elasticity. Okay, see, there are 5 degrees of elasticity which range from 0 to infinity. Okay, and they all are defined on the basis of the response of demand to the changes in price. First, we will start from a perfectly inelastic demand. Or mathematically, ED is equal to 0. It means that the demand cannot or can't respond to any changes in price. Practically there is no commodity which has perfectly inelastic demand, but yes, you can theoretically use the example of a salt, where we have already seen, even when the price was changing, the demand for salt was not increasing or decreasing. Diagrammatically it can be represented. Again, I take the quantity demanded on the x-axis, the price of the commodity on the y-axis. You can see that the price may be OP or maybe OP1 or maybe OP2. The quantity remains the same, right? Price is changing, but quantity remains OQ, perfectly inelastic demand, right? For defining it, you have to use the words that it is the demand which does not respond to any changes in price, or you can simply say when the demand cannot respond to the changes in price, it is known as perfectly inelastic demand, right? Second is relatively inelastic, or you can simply call it as inelastic demand. Mathematically, ED is greater than 0 but less than 1, right? It means that it is more than 0 but the value is less than 1. When I define it as when the percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price, or I can say proportionate change in demand is less than the proportionate change in price. Remember, all the other 2 degrees will also be defined on the basis of these 2 things, right? In the next one you will have equal to, and in the elastic demand you will have greater than. So you should remember, it is simply defining the how the proportionate change in demand is related to the proportionate change in price. It simply says that say suppose the price of the commodity changes by 20%, the demand changes only by 10% or maybe 19% less than 20, right? Because remember the formula, ED was equal to percentage change in demand upon percentage change in price. So if you will put the value, you will come to know that here the elasticity will be less than 1. Then diagrammatically again we can just have a look, and diagrams are also to understand how you draw the diagram. If you understand one, you can draw all. Again you have the quantity demanded on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. Here first you mark your price and quantity. Right? Now suppose I am reducing the price. So demand should rise. The basic idea is that this change in the price, proportionate change in the price should be more, and this proportionate change in the quantity should be less. This gap should be more and this should be less. It shows relatively inelastic demand. Or on the diagram also it is visible that percentage change in demand is less than the percentage change in price. Join these 2 points, and this is the curve for the relatively inelastic demand. So next 2 diagram also on the same logic. Then we have the third degree, that is unit elastic. Or unitary elastic. Here we say that ED is equal to 1. It means that the percentage change in demand is equal to the percentage change in price, right? If the price changes by say 20%, demand also changes by 20%. Again, if you apply the formula of ED, then you will get it equal to 1. Again, diagrammatically also we can represent the unit elastic demand the same way. Again, you first mark OP and OQ. Remember, here we have the price, here we have the quantity demanded. Now this time I should try and make equal gap between P1 and Q1. And you can use your scale for that. Again you join these 2 lines, these 2 points with a straight line. This is your demand curve depicting unit elasticity, right? Again you just have to remember this. This is the logic. Then next is the 4th degree of elasticity, that is relatively elastic. Or simply you can call it as elastic demand, where ED is more than 1 but less than infinity. Here we define it as when the percentage change in demand is more than the percentage change in price. Means demand can respond more. Say if the price changes by 20%, demand changes by say 25%, or any number more than 20, 21, 22. Again you will, when you will apply the formula of ED, you will see that ED will be more than 1. Again for the diagram we use the same logic. This time the gap between the quantity axis Q and Q1 would be more. Now again you can see that my change in the quantity is more than the change in price. So you have to just remember this logic for the 3 diagrams. Next and the last degree of elasticity is perfectly elastic demand. Or ED is equal to infinity. It is defined as when the demand keeps fluctuating even at a constant price. When demand keeps changing even at a fixed price. Again, practically you do not have any such situation. Here you can see the price OP, quantity may be OQ, maybe OQ1 or maybe OQ2. So demand is changing even at a fixed price. Now one thing to observe from all these degrees of elasticity, you can just refer back to your diagrams, that when we started making the elasticity, the first degree of elasticity, it was like this, just to remind you. ED equal to 0, perfectly elastic demand, right? But as we increased our degrees, what happened? The big curve became horizontal line, right? So we say that this is the slope. Slope, practically slope means what? The steepness which you have to climb, right? So as the elasticity is increasing, the slope is decreasing. You can simply understand it is most difficult to climb this particular type of a curve. But if you try to climb the others, it becomes relatively easy. While walking on this one is the easiest, right? So it means that slope and elasticity of demand are also related. That also we will study. But first we can have a look how to draw all the degrees of elasticity on a single diagram, because the question may be asked. So now we have to study how to draw all the degrees of elasticity on a single diagram. First mark ED equal to 0 and ED equal to infinity, the two extreme degrees. Then through the center you will mark ED equal to 1, right? Then between ED equal to 1 and ED equal to 0, another line. Okay, see now this line lies between 0 and 1. So it is ED greater than 0, less than 1, right? Similarly, another line, straight line between infinity and 1. So this is ED greater than 1, less than infinity. So all the degrees of elasticity can be shown on a single diagram, right? Remember the steps. First you draw the two extreme degrees, then you draw the center one, ED equal to 1, bisected, and you will get the other two degrees, right? Now after understanding all the degrees of elasticity, we have to understand how to measure the elasticity or how to calculate the elasticity. Methods of calculating elasticity of demand. We have three methods. First is the percentage method. Or also known as the proportionate method. Second is the total outlay method. And third is the point method. So these are the three methods: percentage method, also known as the proportionate method; total outlay method, also known as the total expenditure method; and the point method or the geometric method. ये पिन रोक यार जरा भाई, रोक यार, recording रोक दे. We have different ways of calculating the elasticity under all these methods, but few things before going into the details of these methods. First of all, you have to remember one thing. You have to notice one thing, that if you use the percentage or proportionate method, the answer will be a exact value between 0 and infinity. Okay, it can be any value, like for example it equal to 1 or 2 or maybe 0.5 or 0.75. When you use the total outlay method, you will have only 3 answers. Okay, if you use the total expenditure method in a particular numerical, answer could be only 3. Here it is in comparison to unity, either equal to 1 or greater than 1 or less than 1. Under the geometric method, you do not have any numerical, we just have diagrammatic representation. Okay, so these are the basic things that you have to remember about the methods of calculating the elasticity of demand, right? So now we'll be studying the total outlay method, the first method, the percentage method or the proportionate method. Okay, percentage method or the proportionate method. Under this method we use the formula percentage change in quantity demanded upon percentage change in price, right? Simply we are comparing the change in quantity and change in price, so we can come to know how much demand is responding in terms of the changes in price, and we are using percentage to make them in equal units, right? Like I told you before also, that quantity demanded is in the units and price is in rupees. So to make the common unit, we convert them into percentage. Now we have to understand what does this mean. The percentage change in quantity demanded and percentage change in percentage change in price. Take an example. Must have done many questions in class 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, right? Where you get a question that the population of a town was 10,000 in a certain year, say in 2000. Okay, while in 2005 the population was say 12,000, right? So calculate the percentage change in population. How did you used to do it? 12,000 minus 10,000, 2,000 upon the original population multiplied by 100. It means it is nothing new, you have already done it, you just have to convert it into percentage change in price or quantity. So simply the change in Q upon the original Q multiplied by 100. Okay? First you find out by how much the quantity is changing, right? And then you divide it by the original quantity. Remember this example, done it 100 of times, right? Similarly, percentage change in price is, so percentage change in quantity is change in Q upon Q into 100, and applying the same logic, percentage change in price is delta P by P into 100, right? And overall when you convert them, divide them, you will get the elasticity. Now this particular formula can be used to derive another formula in terms of units. Now we will see the derivation of that particular formula, how it is derived. Let's say original quantity is Q and say original price is P. New and the new quantity is Q1 and price is P1. Now these are two quantities, maybe say in one month it is this much and second month it is this much, or when the price comes from this to this, then how it is changing, right? Now change in Q. Change in Q is Q minus Q1 or Q1 minus Q, whichever is bigger. ठीक है? Change can be calculated, can be denoted by delta Q, right? Similarly, change in price is P minus P1 or P1 minus P, whichever is bigger, you subtract the smaller one from it, and can be denoted by delta P. ठीक है? Then the percentage change in quantity is delta Q upon Q into 100. Same formula. Change in the quantity upon original quantity into 100, right? And percentage change in price is delta P upon P into 100. Now see, look at the formula of ED. Percentage change in quantity upon percentage change in price. Means this divided by this. If you name it as 1, name it as 2, 1 divided by 2, right? So it means delta Q upon Q into 100 upon delta P upon P into 100. So 100 will get cancelled. Now I have delta Q upon Q divided by delta P upon P, right? Now already you have done it so many times. Division sign change into multiplication sign, what will happen? Denominator becomes a numerator and numerator becomes a denominator, or you can say reciprocal. So it will become P upon delta P, right? To make my formula look little better, I can write it as delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Just bringing both the deltas together doesn't make a difference. 3 into 5 or 5 into 3 doesn't make a difference, right? Same thing. I can shift them. Okay, so I have two formulas under the percentage method. One formula, the first formula is this, the basic formula. From this formula I have derived one more formula. This one I have to use where everything is given in units. Okay, where suppose it is given that when the price of a commodity was rupees 10, consumer was buying say 15 units. When the price fell to 8, consumer started buying 20 units. So it means everything is given in units. This formula is easy to apply, right? Well, this one is needed where one particular variable is given in percentage. Like it is saying that price fell from 10 to 8 and the demand changed by 20%. So it means one is already in percent, another one should be converted into percent, right? By applying this formula, either this or this, and then you can use the basic formula, right? For these you have to practice the numericals. Then the second method that we have to study is the total outlay method. Or the total expenditure method. Okay, now remember that in the beginning I told you that when you use the percentage method you can get any mathematical answer, any value, numerable, a number. But when you use a total outlay method you get only three answers, either ED equal to 1 or ED less than 1 or ED greater than 1. Before moving on, first we have to understand what is this total outlay. It is nothing, it is total expenditure. Suppose you went to a market to buy a biscuit, packet of biscuit which is priced at 5 and you wanted to buy 3 units of that particular biscuit. How much money you need to spend? That is 15 rupees. that is your expenditure on the particular commodity. Simple. P into Q. Total expenditure, or you also call it as the total outlay, is equal to P into Q. And it can be defined as the total expenditure done by a consumer on a given commodity. Okay, now we know the meaning of total outlay. Now how to go further in this method? This method is simply based on the relation between the total outlay and the price. Right? You have to find out what relation is there between total outlay and price. For that, what you need to do is, the first step is you calculate total outlay and total outlay 1. Where total outlay means the outlay at, or the total expenditure at the original price and quantity. Right? While total outlay 1 means the total outlay at the new price and new quantity, or we denote them as P1 and Q1. Right? So P1 into Q1 is equal to total outlay 1, TO1, and P into Q is equal to total outlay, that is the original total outlay. Now after calculating these two total outlay, just compare. Total outlay, either it would be rising or it would be falling, or it may remain same. Right? Like when you calculated the first total outlay, suppose it was coming 20 and the second one is coming as 25, so it means total outlay is rising. If the first one is coming 20 and second one is coming 15, it means total outlay is falling. So you have to just see that what is happening to the total outlay. Then similarly you see what is happening to the price. Price would also be either rising or falling. It won't be constant, right? Because if price is constant, then no elasticity cannot be calculated. Price has to change. So now if total outlay and price, now you, after understanding this concept, you have to just remember that what step has to be taken, and remember quantity need not be seen. Quantity is not to be seen. Only what it is based on what? Only between the relation between total outlay and the price. So now after calculating the total outlay and the price and seeing that at the movement direction of the price, you have to remember that it is based on the total outlay and relation between total outlay and price, and after seeing the movement in the direction of the price, you can have three possibilities. The first case, that total outlay and price may be inversely related. Means moving in the opposite direction. If one is rising, another one is falling, right? And how to see if you get confused in all these, just make arrows. Total outlay, make the arrow. Suppose it is rising upwards. Price, suppose it is falling downwards. Okay, inverse relation, opposite direction. Or it could be total outlay falling and price rising. Then also it is inverse, opposite direction, right? If this is the case, this is what you observe. It means that your ED is greater than 1. This is your answer. ED more than 1. And along with that, you will also have to mention in a statement, because total outlay and price are inversely related, right? This is the case 1, or the first answer, first possibility. Then the second possibility is just opposite. Case 2, when total outlay and price are directly related. Directly means moving in the same direction. Again, if I make the arrows, I observe both arrows are in the same direction. If total outlay is rising, price is also rising, and if total outlay is falling, price is also falling. Inversely, directly related. In that case, your answer is ED less than 1. This is your answer to that numerical, right? And again, you have to mention that because they both are directly related, thus ED is less than 1. Then another possibility, the third possibility, under which we said that total outlay remains constant. Suppose before change in price it was 70 and after change in price also it is 70. Like for example, if a consumer was buying a commodity 8 units at price of 7 and he buys 7 units at the price of 8. In both cases it will be 56, right? So in that case ED is equal to 1. Okay? Perfect response. Right? Expenditure of the consumer doesn't change. So again you can see that it is, if you go into a little understanding of the method, it is simply saying that if the consumer can change his total outlay with the change in price, so it means the demand is elastic, right? But if he cannot change his expenditure, it means the demand is inelastic. Okay, then this method can be diagrammatically represented. On the x-axis you take the total outlay or the total expenditure, while on the y-axis you take the price. Simple to draw. Upward sloping line, straight line, downward sloping line, right? Upward sloping line, you already know that it shows me the direct relation, right? So on the direct relation, ED was less than 1, right? Here total outlay remains unchanged, so ED is equal to 1, and here ED is greater than 1. If you have any problem in understanding it, I'll simply make it easier for you. Suppose you are on point A on this particular line. So if you move on to point B, both are increasing. Price, total outlay is also increasing and price is also increasing. Similarly, if you draw point C here, then this is your price and this is your total outlay. Even if you move to point D, price may change but total outlay remains the same. While on this line, if you are say on point E, this is your price, this is the total outlay. You move on to point F. When you move on to point F, price falls and total outlay rises. Okay, so this is the explanation. When you draw in your exam, in your test, need not mark the points. Simply draw the diagram. This is for your understanding, right? This is how it can be explained. And then the third method is the geometric method or the point method. Under this particular method, as I told you that it is only in the diagrammatic, there is only a diagrammatic representation, no numericals, right? First assumption is that here the demand curve is assumed to be a linear curve. Linear simply means a straight line. Right? Demand curve won't be a curve, it would be a straight line, linear curve. Linear, those of you remember this term, linear means lying on the same line, right? Straight line. Then second thing, the formula for elasticity is lower segment okay, this is the formula for calculating the elasticity at any point. Right? It is a straight line. Okay, and if you want to find the elasticity at any point, this is the formula. Suppose this point is say point P, lower segment, and this is the upper segment, right? We'll do it diagrammatically, you can understand it better. Like say this is my demand curve, linear demand curve. Linear means that it is a straight line. Here again you have the quantity demanded, here you have the price. Mark points on this curve, A, B, C, D and E. Okay, now suppose the formula was ED is equal to lower segment of the curve upon upper segment, right? At point A, so if I want to calculate ED at point A, so again the same formula, lower segment, there is nothing below point A, so it is 0. Upper segment is AE. So 0 divided by anything is 0, right? So it means that at point A, ED is equal to 0. At point B, lower segment is BA, the lower part of the line, and upper segment is BE. So again you can observe that here BA is a smaller segment and BE is a larger segment. Smaller number divided by a larger number, answer is always less than 1, 0 point something, right? Similarly at point C, it is CA upon CE. So now you can see that both segments are equal. So same number divided by itself will give you result as 1. And at point D, lower segment is DA, upper segment is DE. So again you can see now a bigger number divided by a smaller number, answer will be at least 1 point something. Point E, lower segment is EA, upper segment is 0. Anything divided by 0 is equal to infinity, right? So here ED is equal to 0 at point A, then ED greater than, ED less than 1 but greater than 0, the second degree, then the third degree, ED equal to 1. At point D, ED more than 1 but less than infinity. At point E, ED equals to infinity, right? So if a question is asked regarding the geometric method, you have to first tell the first assumption that a demand curve is assumed to be a straight line. Second, you have to tell the formula that elasticity at any point is equal to lower segment upon the upper segment, and after that this diagrammatic representation and similar working. Then you will be able to score the full marks in this particular question. It can be asked in 4-mark question. Now after understanding the methods of the calculating elasticity and the meaning of elasticity, now one more important topic is there, which is the relation between slope of demand curve and elasticity of demand. Right, now elasticity, we already know what elasticity is. We have to understand what is the slope of a demand curve. We already know that slope of any curve is equal to delta y upon delta x, right? This is a formula for calculating slope of any curve. If you talk about the demand curve, on the y-axis I have price and on the x-axis I have quantity. Right, so it means slope of the demand curve is equal to delta P by delta Q. Now what is ED? ED is equal to delta Q by delta P into P by Q. Right, this formula we have already done. Now take this as your first equation. Just see, here it is delta Q by delta P and here it is delta P by delta Q. So it means that if I reciprocal it, so I can write it as, it is what? It is the slope of the demand curve. So I can write it as 1 upon slope is equal to delta Q by delta P. Okay? Do the reciprocal on both the sides, here also and here also. If you are getting confused, you can simply write it as like this. Slope is equal to delta P by delta Q, so 1 upon slope is equal to delta Q by delta P. Now you just have to put this equation here in this formula. So it becomes ED is equal to 1 upon slope into P by Q. Means suppose the slope of the demand curve is given to you, then you can simply add 1 by slope into the given price and the given quantity, and you will get the value of your ED. And theoretically also you understand that there is a inverse relation between slope of the demand curve and elasticity of